Tom Miser here for the final installment of Eve of Destruction. In about 13 hours from now, my family home at 424 Grand Street in Allegan, 424, right there, 424 Grand Street in Allegan will be nothing but a memory. I wanted to take you through the final tour of the inside of the home before these walls come down one on top of another starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. So follow me. We're traveling in through the garage. This is what was familiar to everybody. The back door was always unlocked. Everyone was welcome at the Miser household. They could come and go as they please. If you were a friend of the Misers, you were welcome. You didn't have to knock. All you needed to do is come walking through the door, and you would be greeted warmly at the Miser household. For the last, how many years would you say, Denise, Mom lived here by herself, would you say? The last 10?
10, probably.
Well, Dad passed. Well, she lived here ever since
96.
Dad's passing, right? Nobody else
96.
lived with her? Dad, my father passed away in 1996. After his passing, Mom actually did a lot to the house that she always wanted to have done. Central air, new roof, the new windows. She did a lot to the house that she wanted to have done. So there was a lot of, in the late 90s, there was a lot of refurbishing done to the house. And we're going to come through the back door. As you notice, is conspicuously missing. The door has been removed. And we walk into the back entrance of the home. And this is the familiar entryway where people took off their shoes. As you see, it kind of lays barren. The washer and dryer were here. We had the extra freezer stood right in this area where we carried all the extra food that Mom bought to feed the family. In fact, you know, the fact of the matter is, even after every kid moved out of the home, I think Mom's grocery bill didn't go down. And I never quite figured out why that was, because she always kept enough food in the house so that we could meet at this house and enjoy meals. And that was one of the most wonderful things. This house, for many years, really was the adhesive that kept our family together. We would routinely meet here every Sunday up until just last February, when Mom went into the assisted living facility. The family still routinely met right here in the Miser home for that Sunday dinner. I remember my wife and my sister Ann and Denise, when she would visit Rachel, would all take a hand in the kitchen to fix something good for Sunday dinner. And of course, I was always willing to stop over and partake of whatever meal was available at the time. The coat hooks all lay empty on the walls where we would hang our coats when we came. This is where Mother always kept, on the other side of the freezer, Mother always kept her series of coats hanging ready to when she wanted to go on some of her adventures. We're going to walk into what was at one time Denise's room, who is my sister Denise's room. In the later years, this became a spare bedroom for visitors and guests, but it also became kind of the kids' playroom. In that corner, there was a TV, there was VCR, DVD player, and all of the games were right here in this corner, and the kids would occupy themselves with that stuff. And as you see, it lays pretty barren. And as we walk this way, we'll walk into the kitchen. Wow. A lot of memories in the kitchen. The kitchen always seemed to be kind of a place of fellowship. There was always a certain amount, mostly the girls. The guys would kind of mingle in the living room or in the dining area, but on a Sunday, the girls would kind of hang out here in the kitchen and talk about whatever those girls talked about. Here was the kitchen sink. That's been removed. Everything possible has been removed for salvage within just the last few weeks as we pan this. The kitchen counter, this kind of became the catch-all place. You know, the house was always very, very clean, but it was comfortably cluttered. And this became kind of the catch-all counter where a lot of different accessories used to be here. Telephone hung on the wall, all the necessary phone books. There was actually a place, if you remember, there was a little holder for all of the manuals for, I think, every appliance that we ever bought, every hair dryer, every toaster, everything that we've ever bought. We kept a record of those things on this counter. If you'll recall, this was where the dining room table was. We used to, when the kids were home and Dad was home, Dad was always kind of a traditionalist when it came to dinner, especially on Sundays. A little wind through the house. Ooh. Dad was always kind of a traditionalist. Dad would insist that the family sit around the table on a Sunday and have their meal right here at the table. But as the culture changed and as things became a little less and less formal, people would fix their plates in this kitchen, and generally they would take their meal into the living room. This is the living room, as you remember. I spent many, many hours snoring asleep in the lazy boy chair. My wife will attest to that. The lazy boy chair that sat right here in this corner. I missed many hours of television programming and many movies that I never slept through. In this location here was where the matriarch of the family for the last 13 years was the centerpiece of the Miser home. Her lazy boy chair with a special lift that had been built by our friend Michelle. As my mother, after her hip surgery, she found it harder and harder to get in and out of that lazy boy chair. So our friend Michelle, family friend for many years, built her this special lift on the bottom of her chair. And you know, that same chair went with my mother to Briarwood, where she's staying now, and it's exactly the same as it was here. And my mother spent many, many hours right here as the centerpiece of the Miser household. Where Denise is standing right there was the couch where we would sit. You know, it was always kind of it was always kind of a contest to see who could get here first on Sundays and find their place in the chair. Because you had to stake out a chair, man, and make sure you had one, because the family would start to pour in. And the ones who went to church later in the day, they kind of lost out. And they ended up having to sit on the chairs that were around the dining room table. And this was a place filled with many memories, and I'm sure everybody watching this that's ever been in the Miser household or grew up in this household have many, many, many memories of the place. And of course, the television set right there in the corner. Wow. How are we doing on time? Good. All right?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 hours left.
Okay. Very good. Let's wander this way. Oh, who could forget the thermostats, which in the last probably 5 or 6 years of my mother's life was never allowed to be turned below 80 degrees, even in the summertime. And that was one of the things that Mom scolded us the most about. Has somebody turned down my thermostat? Would be the statement that was heard the most around the Miser household. And of course it was usually Jim who would sneak over here. One of us would kind of keep Mom's attention, while Jim would sneak over here and kind of tweak that thermostat down just a little bit so that we could breathe in the house. It was always very, very warm in the Miser house, in the summer and in the winter. It didn't seem to matter. But the thermostat was definitely a source of a little bit of turmoil in the house before. Let's come on this way. We'll go down the house, go down into the hallway, and this was originally Ann's room, correct? as you guys were growing up. This was Ann's room, but later on became my mother's bedroom. She occupied this bedroom probably for the last year or two of her life. The last room we'll go into was my mother's bedroom. And it had a hardwood floor, and my mother fell a couple times. So we decided it would be safer to move into this room with the two shades of purple. Very bright purple. It's a very lovely color. Of course, I'm colorblind, so I always thought it looked blue, but they tell me that it's purple. And the carpeting's purple, purple carpeting. That was always very bright. So this was my mother's room. Let's go into her bedroom, and then we'll, per Jason's request, we'll take a tour of the basement as the last installation. The bathroom.
Where many hours are spent by Tom.
Yes, many hours were spent by me.
Right there.
Yeah, this is where we kept the Glade canister. We always kept a large supply of Glade.
Don't forget to spray.
Oh yeah, Mom would say that, would she? Don't forget to spray. Whoa. All right, and last but not least, I always am waiting for some kind of an animal to be in here, because the house has been closed up for now about, the windows have been out for a couple of weeks now, and the house has just been open. So, you know, if there's a raccoon, if I get attacked by a raccoon, you can put the camera down and help me.
No, we're going to send funny videos.
Could end up being a video. My wife's laughing. All right. And of course, my mother's room. This was my mother and father's room when my father was alive. This is the room. They had an antique bed in here. And as you can see, the windows are gone. Probably hear a little bit of an echo because of the wood floors. And Denise, you can look out the back window. You could see the collapsed barn. And you can see the back of the house. So next, as a special bonus video, we're going to go into the basement. So stay tuned.